Okay, so let's go back to 1997. There's this Japanese TV show, Love Generation, that comes out. And look, it wasn't just another show. We're talking about a cultural earthquake, a Monday night ritual that basically defined an entire era of television.
I want to start with just one number, 30.7%. Now that's not the rating for the big finale. No, that was its average viewership. Just let that sink in for a second. That means nearly 1 out of every 3 households in Japan was watching this thing every single week. It's a staggering number, and it really gives you a sense of just how massive this drama was.
So you see a number like that, and you have to ask, right? How on earth did a seemingly simple romance capture the attention of an entire country? Well, that's the big question, and it's exactly what we're going to unpack.
Okay, so what was the secret sauce here? Well, the wild thing about Love Generation's success is that it didn't really reinvent the wheel. Not at all. Its genius was in taking this existing formula, the trendy drama playbook, and just executing it with absolute near-perfect precision.
And this playbook is super classic. You know the drill. First, you've got the awkward meet-cute. Then, boom, forced proximity. They end up working together. Of course, you have to bring in the ex-girlfriend to stir the pot. And the whole thing is powered by what I call the misunderstanding engine. You know, where someone always overhears the wrong part of a conversation at the worst possible moment. It's a formula we've all seen before, but man, Love Generation just did it with so much charm.
And the setting? Oh, the setting was just brilliant. It was the show's real secret weapon. See, the main characters all worked at an advertising agency. Their job literally was to craft and sell these perfect, polished images of desire. And the central irony, the thing that made it all work, was that their own love lives were the total opposite. They were messy, chaotic, and completely impossible to package and sell.
But look, a great recipe is one thing. You still need the right ingredients. And for Love Generation, the absolute powerhouse at the center of it all was the undeniable, off-the-charts chemistry between its 2 lead actors.
And this dynamic right here is what had everyone completely hooked. On one side, you have Teppei. He's this talented but kind of arrogant playboy who acts like he's got it all figured out. And on the other, you have Rico, this spirited, magnetic optimist who just sees right through his whole facade. Their pairing was so perfect that fans actually gave them a nickname, the Golden Combi.
And seriously, you just can't talk about this show without talking about the Kimutaku Effect. The lead actor, Kimura Takuya, was a legitimate phenomenon. I mean, think of him as a proto-influencer, way before that was even a word. Anything, and I mean anything, he wore on screen immediately became the next must-have item.
The real-world impact was just massive. That Rolex Explorer he wore became an icon. Those Redwing boots sold out like instantly. Even his thick black-rimmed glasses, and get this, a crystal apple paperweight became these huge status symbols all across Asia, all because he had them on the show. Incredible.
Okay, so we've got the plot and we've got the stars, but what really cements Love Generation's legendary status are the smaller things, the iconic little details that took it from just being a hit show and turned it into something truly special.
Let's talk about the music, because it was a total masterclass in contrast. You had the score by this group called Cagnet, and it was this sleek, soulful R&B that just felt like the modern pulse of 90s Tokyo. But then the theme song, that was this breezy, nostalgic pop tune that sounded like a memory being made. Putting those two together gave the show this unique, totally timeless vibe.
But maybe the most brilliant piece of storytelling in the entire show didn't involve a single word of dialogue. Nope, it was all about a single, simple prop, a crystal apple. Okay, so here's the genius part. Because of the way light refracts through a crystal sphere, the image you see inside it is flipped upside down. So for 10 straight episodes, the camera would just linger on this apple on a shelf. It was this silent visual metaphor constantly reminding you that the characters' world, their love lives, was completely inverted, distorted, and fragile.
And then comes the finale. Everything is resolved, all the drama is over, and we get one last perfect shot of the apple. And for the very first time, the image inside writes itself. It's just this perfect, wordless payoff, a real testament to how clever and artistic the direction of this show really was.
So that brings us to the big question. Why did this show hit so hard right at that specific moment in time? And maybe more importantly, how does it all hold up today?
You really have to put yourself in the shoes of someone in Japan in 1997. The country was dealing with some serious post-bubble anxiety. The big economic boom was over, and there was a lot of uncertainty.
So along comes this show that completely ignores all those big, scary societal problems and instead focuses on something super personal and relatable, the messy business of falling in love. It was, in a lot of ways, the perfect escape.
So, what's the final verdict? Does it hold up? Well, the electric chemistry between the leads, that timeless soundtrack, the masterful symbolism of the crystal apple, all of that is just as powerful today. For sure, some things creak a little. The plot relies a lot on misunderstandings, and the ex coming back feels pretty predictable now. But you know what? The emotional core of the show? That's absolutely timeless.
And that brings me to my final thought, the one single line that I think perfectly encapsulates the entire series. And the best part is, it was hiding in plain sight the whole time.
You'd see this line pop up all the time in the show. True love never runs smooth. But here's the brilliant twist. That wasn't just some random quote. It was the actual slogan for a fictional ad campaign the characters were working on in their agency. It was literally an ad within the show that also happened to be the show's own thesis statement. It was both a promise and a warning that just perfectly defined their entire beautifully messy story.